Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend. Hope that you're doing really well. I'm doing fantastic in my part of the world. I hope you are also good in your part of the world. And hey, it's the weekend. What better way to start off than with a data science stream? So it's really good to see all of you here. Really good to see both my Instagram and my YouTube quickly filling up with questions. It feels like today I finally got everything running just the way it should be. So I think, I got my YouTube started, I got my chat started, I got my Instagram started. I've had a couple of challenges the past couple of days with so many different things that I keep on forgetting and whatnot, but I think we're good today. I think we're going to have a great stream, so I hope that you're doing well. So I'm seeing different people join, and we've had a lot of new people following my accounts. Instagram has been crazy, YouTube has been crazy. So for those new people that are joining, thank you so much. I always like to start off with the global roll call. I always invite you to please tell us your city, state, province, country. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know a little bit what you want about yourselves, as far as what part you are in your journey. Are you a student? Are you a mid-career professional? Are you a data leader? I love the fact that this chat has so many different people across different disciplines and also different levels of data science. But that's what makes the community great, right? It's always good to get those different perspectives. So while I wait for you guys to fill up my chat, and you guys have already done that, but just go ahead and introduce yourself. I also like to give an opening note, and I'd like to give you an opening note around leadership. This is not something that I really talk a whole lot about because I don't see a lot of data leaders in my chat just yet. I think that population is going to start to grow, but I want to kind of give you my perspective on how I lead teams. And one of the things that I do in my teams is I have this concept of total ownership. You might recognize that from a book. It was a book written by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. They are two ex-Navy SEALs. And they introduced this concept of total ownership that's also part of the military lifestyle. And the whole point is that I own my team's successes, but I also own their failures. If they do something wrong, it's on me. I, as the leader, did not take enough time to explain the process to them or to make the requirements clear or something along those lines. So I own their successes, but I'm also responsible for making sure they get to a successful conclusion. And if they don't, then it's on me, right? It's the leader's responsibility to take that total ownership over your team and be able to make sure that they're delivering, that they're enabled to deliver in an appropriate way. Now, another part of total ownership is that I am also accountable to the people above me, right? So in total ownership, there's this concept where I'm probably not going to do it justice. The book explains this better than I could, but it talks about how if your boss gives you a direction to take your team, you personally may not agree with it, but your role as a leader and also as part of the greater team is to still commit to that overall function and have your team go in that direction. Regardless of how I may feel about it, I still need to make sure that my team is going in that greater direction. Now, sometimes that can be a little bit difficult because the overall direction of where the team is going might not be something that you enjoy, or might not be something that the rest of your team enjoys. But you still have to put on enough of motivation, enough leadership to be able to say, well, we may all not be in agreement here, but it's what we're supposed to do, so let's do it, period, right? And I say that because that's not always a concept that's easy for me. You know, we tend to be shaded by our own convictions and our own thoughts on things, right? Our own biases and whatnot. But it's how I, as a leader, serve my greater team in the best way, right? So in the military, it's easy to think about these things. You know, if a team is involved in a greater conflict or a greater war, you personally may not agree with the conflict, but you still have to, you know, march with the rest of the team and maintain that attitude of, hey, we're in this together. In a corporate environment, it's a little bit more nuanced on what those situations are, but as part of being a data science leader, you still have to be motivated. You still have to be motivated to do it, and you still have to motivate the rest of your team to do it. Not always easy to do, but I'm highlighting that as one of the things where total ownership sounds like a good idea. It sounds like something you can do, but all of the implementation steps aren't necessarily easy. But I'm bringing this up more in terms of the what it means to all of you when you are looking to get into the data science field. You're looking for your positions, or you're looking to move across positions, whatever the case may be. Look for those types of leaders that are going to take complete ownership over you and your projects, because it's impossible to do that without providing some mentoring along the way, right? Because if I'm responsible for your failures, then I'm going to spend time with you to make sure that, you know, we're minimizing your risk of failure, right? You know, we're kind of our interests are aligned in that way. And that mentorship, that type of guidance, super important during really all development phases of your data science career, but especially early on where you're still kind of learning the real world side of data science, okay? So I want to leave you guys with that because I think it's an important part to consider. Look for who's going to be leading you, because those people, if they're doing their jobs right, will also become the people that are going to guide your career and guide your practical skills of data science, your applied skills in data science, all right? All right, guys, so again, I asked people to introduce themselves, city, state, province. You guys have already done a great job of filling up my chat, so let's go ahead and get started. Love to see all the new people here. Bharat, let us know where you're from. You're first in my chat, but let us know where you're from. Sadman says, first year semester student here. From Melbourne, RMIT University. Nice, very cool. I assume it's beautiful weather out there in Melbourne right now. So thanks for joining us. I think this might be your first time, but thanks for joining us. Mukand, I see your question, but please introduce yourself, okay? January 18th, let us know where you're from, all right? Casual Economist, happy Saturday from Minneapolis. How you doing? Good to see you again, my friend. You've been such a regular. Really appreciate the continued support. Thank you so much. Speaking of regulars, our good friend Rohan from Vizag, India. Hey, Rohan, how are you? Hope you and your family are well. Badir Ben Sassi says, happy Saturday, Dennis. Badir here from Casablanca, Morocco. I'm a data analyst pursuing a data science master's. Very cool. Very cool, yeah. Badir, did you join yesterday too? We had a couple of people specifically from Casablanca yesterday. But your name seems new to me. I don't think you've been here before. But yeah, quite a few followers from Morocco and specifically from Casablanca. I've spent plenty of time in Casablanca. I stay at the Corniche out there. It's beautiful out there. Casual Economist says you are gaining like 1,000 followers each day on YouTube. Yep, that's about right. That's about right. That's what my analytics show also. I'm somewhere between 800 to 1,000 followers on YouTube every day. So, you know, just trying to keep on putting good content out there, guys. Okay, so Sadman from Melbourne University is studying computer science. Oh, my condolences to you. Have you guys seen most computer science curriculums? Oh my gosh, it puts me to sleep just to read the curriculums. But I hope you're doing well out there, Sadman. Oh, I missed your next message. Should I transfer from computer science to data science? Well, obviously I'm giving you a biased answer. Obviously I'm giving you an idea of how I feel about computer science. Personally, I would give it consideration. Yes, I would give it consideration. Okay. Crazy Susie, our good friend Crazy Susie. You just joined yesterday. Now you're back already. I love it. Crazy Susie, this is Susie here from Bangalore, India. Nice, very cool. I think I've had staff in Bangalore before. Was it Bangalore? Yeah, I think it was Bangalore. So I've had I had plenty of staff out there. So I hope you're doing well out there in Bangalore. Alvaro, and welcome back. Good to see you again. Hi, Dennis. Greetings from Sicily, Italy. Nice, very cool. My parents are actually headed to Italy right now. I think I mentioned before, my parents are elderly, but they're still very, very active. So right now they're on this big tour of Europe. They started in Portugal, I think, and then they were in Spain. And then I heard from them yesterday. Today they're leaving Spain and they're headed to Italy. So yeah, my parents are all over Europe right now. So it's so nice to see that you're from Sicily. Awesome. Yassine, our good friend from Morocco. Now see, Yassine, come on now. You're usually our first Moroccan in the chat, but they beat you today. Badir beat you today. Come on, Yassine, you've lost a step, my friend. You've lost a step. Manoj, good morning, Dennis and all from Bangalore, India. Manoj, how you doing, my good friend? Hope that you're doing well out there. Also from Bangalore. Do you guys know each other? I know Bangalore's a massive city. Badir says, first time here, we're spreading the word about your content, so expect more Moroccan. I already have a ton of Moroccans. I mean, I think one time we were taking account. I think I must have had like 6 or 7 Moroccans in my chat. So I don't know how that happened or what the what's driving that, but I'll tell you this, and this is the data analyst in my mind, right? So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but one of the global statistics I keep an eye on is birth rates, right? I mean, I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk. I am far from an Elon Musk fanboy. But he's right on watching declining birth rates, right? I mean, if you think about that and you do the numbers on that, it's scary what that means for the entire world, right? And I do keep an eye on that. And if you look at the global statistics on it, Northern Africa and a lot of parts of Africa are doing pretty positively with the birth rates, right? They're one of the few regions in the world that's doing fairly positively with the birth rate, right? But I mean, most of Western Europe, most parts of Asia, the US, Canada, I think Mexico is still like at a break-even point, right? Some parts of South America are better than others, but Northern Africa is one of the few regions overall that's still doing healthy with the birth rate. And I noticed this, I think I mentioned this briefly, but I was in Tangier last year, and I've been to various parts of Morocco, and I've been like, I was surprised like how many small children you see, right? Like there's obviously a lot of small children, young families, and whatnot. And I've been all over the world, like I've been to Japan. In Japan, you can see that there's an elderly population, right? There's a noticeable difference of younger people and younger people as couples, as people that are headed towards having a family. Okay? So maybe that's what's driving my Moroccan viewership, right? Where my content is skewed towards younger people, right? 65% of my viewers are under the age of 34, right? That's what my analytics show, and that's a global number, right? I have only 35% of my people are, adults 35 and older, right? And that's both men and women. So it would make sense that I would draw not from big countries, but countries where, there's a young population that's still further developing, right? That's still having children, and where there's more teenagers or more people in their early 20s, so on and so forth. So that's what I'm attributing it to, right? That's my analytics brain thinking about why I do have a lot of Africans, well, really a lot of Africans overall are in my chat, right? So that's my thinking. Let me know what you think in the chat, right? That's me showing you what my analytics think as far as like my quick analysis, right? So let me know in the chat what you guys think. Am I right? Am I wrong on that? Let me know. Othman, let us know where you're from, okay? Othman says, I'm from Morocco. Well, what part of Morocco? Morocco's a huge country. You gotta let us know the city. And Othman, I'll come back to your question, okay? Nishant says, hey Dennis, nice to see you again. Hey Nishant, how are you? Remind me where you're from, Nishant. I know this isn't your first time, but remind me where you're from. I can't quite remember. Silly Catty 21 says hi. Silly Catty is joining us on Twitch. Wonderful to see that Twitch participation. Go ahead and click on the subscribe there. Would love to have you a subscriber. Saw the Insta algo brought me here. Really? Interesting. Okay. What is today's session about? So Silly Catty, and for everybody else who's new, because I know I do have a lot of new people in the chat. Most of my live streams, I like to do a global roll call, which is what we're doing now. Just have people introduce themselves. I do an opening note, which I've already done. And then I take questions. I take on all comers. If you have a question about AI, data science, school, your careers, anything you want, I'm here for you guys, right? I love keeping it loose. I love keeping it spontaneous. And, just whatever you guys want to talk about. You guys set the agenda. On some days, I will have instructionals. Yesterday, we had an instructional. Tomorrow, we're going to have an instructional. But other times, I love walking in here and just talking to you guys about whatever you want to talk about. I've had a lot of experience in the field. The answers I will give you are going to be centered around the real world. Right? I'm not one of these fake influencers, and there's plenty of those. ChatGPT does not make my content, and there's plenty of those people too. So I'm here because I enjoy it, because data science is my passion, and because who else is doing this? No one else is going to give you real world stuff, right? So that's what I'm here for. All right. So Othman shares that they are from Rabat. Very nice, cool. Never quite made it to Rabat. Mood Musharf, let us know where you're from. Mood, impressive channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into this. This content doesn't create itself, folks. Rex, good to see you. Rex is our moderator on the Twitch side and Discord. So thanks so much for that. All right. Let me look at some of these questions. I know I skipped over a couple. Mukund, let us know where you're from, okay? January 18th, let us know where you're from, please. Sadman, let me come back to your question here. Should I transfer for computer science to data science? All right, guys. So, you guys know that sometimes I poke fun at different things, right? In computer science, I will poke fun every once in a while. Because I think a lot of the stuff they teach is maybe overly theoretical. But the one thing I do want to stress to you, whether you decide to stay in computer science or even if you make the change to data science, please make sure that all of you that are studying right now, make sure that you are also including a healthy dose of AI tools into your learning. The data scientist or the software engineer of the future will be heavily driven by AI tools. The video I released on YouTube yesterday centered around this very topic because it's super, super important, guys. If you will be required to work at a higher level. Well, excuse me, two things will be required of you. You will be required to work at a higher level to understand an entire program, and then how to direct ChatGPT to write those things for you. So the programming of the task and the functions and the methods, that'll be very trivial from here on in. So that's not your value add. That's not what you as the human are adding. You as the human are adding the design, the architecture, the overall like object-oriented programming of it all. That will be the skill that you bring, right? LLMs aren't quite there with that yet, right? They will be, but they're not quite there. So your skill will be to see the entire playing field and then direct ChatGPT. And again, I am defining the future as 2 to 3 years max. Even 3 years, I'm not comfortable saying. I'm tempted to say 1 to 2 years, right? But this will be what's required of you. The second thing that will be required of you is a much, much faster pace, super fast pace, right? Because remember, from my perspective, a manager or your employer, I gave you an employee. I hired you, but I also gave you an employee when I hired you. That employee is ChatGPT. So my expectations of your timelines are going to become very compressed. I haven't quite settled on a number, but I think it's going to be at least 50%. So before, when your boss would have given you like a month for a task, he's going to give you 2 weeks for a task, right? The pace at which you will be expected to deliver products, right, to meet your delivery states will be super fast than what it is now. And I'm advising everyone of this, not just Sadman, because these are things that you really can't simulate in an academic environment, right? These are things that you're going to have to do on your own. I mean, even the top schools, aren't simulating this, and in many ways they can't simulate it. So I want you to focus on these things because these will be super, super important for you, whether you're in software engineering or data science. So go to my YouTube, check out my latest video on this. I have an entire video on this, right? And be careful. And this series was part of my de-influencing data science, right? And I'm shocked at how many experts online, and especially on the software engineering side, keep on refusing to believe that AI is going to replace them or have that type of effect on them, right? So to me, that's dumb. There's no other way to say that, right? So the meteor did not kill the dinosaurs, guys, okay? The dinosaurs died because they didn't understand what the meteor impact meant, right? They just kept chewing on those plants. Oh, these plants will be here next year. Let's just keep on eating the same plants, right? And then the plants were gone and they were gone, right? So don't be that dinosaur. Start preparing now. All right, so no matter what you choose, Sadman, make sure you put in a healthy dose of AI and get your prompt skills going, okay? Super important for everybody in the chat. All right, let me see if I skipped any other questions. Okay, so Othman says, how companies use Gen AI to improve their work? A lot of ways. A lot of ways. That's almost impossible for me to answer, right? I'll give you an example that I came across recently, okay? I was working with a client, and by the way, guys, I never give client names, never give specifics about clients. But I was working with a client who was shifting from one software program to another software program. They were doing like a data migration. And, whenever you do those data migrations, there's always like special categories or special customer labels or things you might use in one program that don't necessarily exist in another program, right? So you kind of have to do in the past, you would have done like this weird code where you would like, you know, kind of have to write some middleware to do some transferring between, okay, this label here means this over here. And it kind of gets messy, but you know, that's what you hire a consultant for. Like I've done that a million times. Like, you know, I've paid a lot of bills doing that type of software, right? And he was explaining to me how, you know, he was going to do this, and what he was going to do was he was going to hire some temporary staff to do the data entry. So he was going to export, you know, some of the information, and then the data entry staff would be trained on the new software, and they would do that, right? But I stopped him, and I said, well, do you realize that AI could do this for you, right? I mean, you could go to ChatGPT, you can say, hey, here's 10 different labels that I use in my data. Here's some examples of those labels. And when I give you new data, I want you to tell me what label it fits. And then, you know, you could ask ChatGPT to save it, export in a CSV, and then that becomes what you put into your new package, right? And that was like a revelation for him, right? Like he didn't realize that you could do that with AI. So the answer to your question, Othman, is that there's a ton of things that can be done with AI, and a ton of ways that they are using it, but there's also a ton of ways that they don't know they could be using it. Lots of unexplored opportunities out there. So I'm thinking of doing some content about this. I haven't quite found the right venue for it, but it's what I call an AI first attitude. Business leaders overall haven't quite taken an AI first attitude to say, well, wait a minute, how can AI help me with this? That's the first question everybody should be asking themselves from now on, because it is that powerful, right? That it can be used for a lot of different things. Once people start making that shift and start thinking about like the world in that way, then like it's going to be chaos, right? It's going to be chaos with a number of, and I mean it in a positive way, right? Like it's going to be just a whirlwind of ways, businesses that are using AI, right? So that's really the best answer I can give you, that there's a lot of ways to do it. Some are already being done, but still tons and tons and tons of unexplored territory out there for sure. So I hope that helps you, Othman. It's a good question. It's a good question. So Badir says, the birth rate might explain the younger population in your followers. For Africa and specifically Morocco, a lot of people are moving into IT, and data science can be another factor. The birth rate might explain the younger population in your followers. No, I'm not on board with that. The content explains the population, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what country you live in. You ask your parents to give you an answer on what data science is, they're not going to know, right? I mean, my parents don't know what I do. They just know that I'm on social media, right? I mean, go ask your parents for a definition on data science, right? And that doesn't matter what country you're in, right? I think it's the content that drives the demand by younger people, right? So then the question is, where are those younger people, right? That's kind of like my thinking, right? So I know I skew younger because of the content. So that's going to carry to skewing younger into countries who have younger populations. So I shouldn't expect to be big in Japan because Japan doesn't have a young population, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying, right? That I should expect to be popular in Africa because a good number of African countries do have younger population, right? So that's where I'm going with that. So it's kind of like it's a too hot process, but I'm willing to accept that because of the data science content, I'm gonna skew younger no matter what. I'm okay with that, right? I mean, my biggest content is, you know, males 18 to 35. That's like 75% of my viewership, right? And boy, advertisers sure hate that viewership. Rahul, our good friend Rahul. Hey Dennis, how are you? Rahul checking in from India. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well out there. Silly Caddy, our friend from Twitch, says, "Oh, I love data science too. I am currently doing masters in big data analytics. Cool. And I do want to become a data scientist, and most of the job skills do match my skills I used in projects, but they all need experience of 3 to 5 years. What can one do to improve this pit they are in?" Okay. Couple things to unpack there, okay? One, do not view yourself as being in a pit, all right? Guys, everybody in the chat, not just Silly Caddy here. Positive attitude, all right? I get it. Job searching is hard, but the number one thing you gotta have is a positive attitude, all right? If you get beaten down by the job search and, oh, it's impossible, it will come across in your interviews. You're gonna come across like a Debbie Downer, and nobody hires a Debbie Downer, okay? So first, we're not in a pit, positive attitudes, all right? Second, an experience of 3 to 5 years. All right, guys, here's a pro tip for you, okay? Most data science teams don't know exactly the person they are looking for, all right? Most data science teams in most organizations are still getting off the ground. They're still in early stages. I mean, look, even your veteran data science teams are like, what, 3 years old, 5 years old, right? They're still kind of finding their way. So don't let those smaller requirements, throw you off. Apply. What's there to lose? You can still apply, right? And it correlates to something else I've shared with all of you before, right? Don't get caught up in data engineer, data analyst, data architect, data science. Don't get caught up in that. Most teams are small. I mean, most teams are very, 4 or 5 people, right? So don't get caught up in that. Apply. Don't get caught up in saying, I'm just a data scientist. Show that you're flexible, all right? They will, if you present yourself properly, you have a good resume, and we'll talk about this next, and you put yourself out there in a positive way, they'll find a place for you, right? Good solid data professionals are still hard to find. So if you really do your best and put your best efforts forward, they'll find a place for you, right? So don't get caught up in that, right? All right, third thing. Your resume, all right? Go to my YouTube, Silly Caddy. Check out my video from last week. Big thumbnail says there are no jobs. I introduced the rule of 3, okay? Rule of 3. There's 2 steps to the rule of 3. 1, 3 people who love you enough to tell you that you are dumb should view your resume, right? Have 3 people who will be honest with you about your resume. Minimum. The second part of the rule of 3, have a minimum of 3 projects that you did end to end. Your own design, your own data, your own experiments, right? Publish those out, have a minimum of 3 of those, walk into your next interview with a minimum of 3 of those articles ready to go and ready for you to talk about. I would question for anybody on the planet that they probably aren't ready for a data science interview until they have both of those 3 items completed, right? And maintain a positive attitude, right? Maintain a positive attitude. Because you know what? The people who are out there telling you, oh yeah, there's no jobs, data science is too hard, yeah. Ask them next time. Oh yeah, how many projects do you have ready to go? Oh well, I did 2 Coursera courses. No. How many projects did you do on your own? They probably don't have that, right? So by you doing those steps, you're putting yourself up above the candidate pool. Trust me, I've read thousands of resumes. I know what the candidate pool is like, okay? Rule of 3, okay? Walk into your next interview, or rather, don't walk into an interview until you got the rule of 3 down, all right? Silly Caddy says positive attitude all the way. All right, cool. I love that, right? You got to have a positive attitude when it comes to job search and to data science in general, right? You know, we're alive, we're above ground. Every day above ground's a good day, right? So just keep going, guys. Silly Caddy says, also, I did follow you on Twitch. Thank you so much. I'm slowly growing on Twitch. You guys want to hear something funny about Twitch? I'll tell you something. Twitch is a nighttime only social media platform. You are wasting your time if you are broadcasting on Twitch during the day. So what I do is when I finish my live streams, I will usually run a loop of the classes that I have done on the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. I will run a loop and I will run it overnight. And I do okay on YouTube. You know, it gets a lot of likes on YouTube because, you know, quality content, you know. But on Twitch, people love it on Twitch, especially overnight. I can gain like 5 followers overnight on Twitch just by running a loop of content at night. But basically during the day, you're wasting your time on Twitch. That's one of my biggest takeaways from everything I've done on social media. Twitch is nighttime only. I wouldn't start broadcasting on Twitch until like before, like, I don't know, like 9 p.m. at night or something. Sir Ox is from Irvington, New Jersey. Very cool. I just lived in New Jersey for almost 2 years recently. I was out in Harrison. So I hope you're well in New Jersey. I think it's probably beautiful weather out there right now. Rahul says people are scared, so denial is the only option. I assume you're talking about jobs, Rahul. Yeah, you know, people are scared that that they haven't done enough to get a data science job. Yeah, right. I mean, when those negative people tell you about how hard the market is, or no one's hiring or stuff, they're really telling you that they stunk, right? Nobody says that, but that's what they're really telling you. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Rahul, for sure. Anise, our good friend Anise, how are you? Anise, remind me where you're from, okay? Hello, Dennis. I hope you're doing great. I just have a question regarding sourcing data through API and stored in a JSON file. Is it something we encounter often in the real world? Ooh, why are you storing it in a JSON file? You might use that as your temporary store, but that shouldn't be your permanent store, right? All right, so this is a great question because we don't often do a lot of technical stuff on these chats, but this is good. So Anise, what we really need to talk about for your question is the APIs, right? And most modern APIs, you know, the overwhelming majority of APIs are REST APIs, right? Why? Because REST APIs are language agnostic. You can access a REST API by any language. You know, so you as a developer, as a data scientist, you might write an algorithm. You're going to write your API layer. You're going to write it as a REST API to access the prediction runtimes, and then you're done. You're done. You don't care how people are accessing it after that, right? It could be a mobile app, a web app. It could be Java. It could be, you know, PHP, whatever. It literally doesn't matter at that point to you, right? You're just putting out the REST API endpoints, and it sits there. The reason why that works is because you also have a common protocol for the data transfer, right? And basically they've settled on JSON because every language can handle JSON, right? REST APIs wouldn't work if there wasn't a common transfer protocol for data. And JSON is that chosen protocol, right? But that's it. That doesn't mean you should leave it in JSON, right? You should take it from JSON and then you should move it to your database, to your CSV, to real time, right? Maybe you just maybe you're streaming some real time data, right? Who knows? But just because it's in JSON doesn't mean you have to keep it in JSON, right? You should view JSON as just as a transfer convenience, as a transfer protocol, right? Now, in most real world scenarios, you're going to save the JSON file somewhere just as a matter of convenience, right? So you don't have to keep on going to the outside world to hit the API, right? Like maybe you just want to archive it. So you will see that in most architectures. But just because the transfers in JSON, don't feel like you have to keep it in that. The JSON is just a convenience. But it's totally okay to go in your code and then go from JSON to something else, whatever your application actually uses. Most of the time, it's actually a mistake to go from JSON to feeding your application. You probably you want a middle layer in between there, right? I mean that's reasonable. So yeah, I mean, yes, you're going to come across JSONs a lot, but it's a transfer protocol, not necessarily a store. Okay, so I hope that helps. If not, let me know in the chat. Okay. Nihad, please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from. Okay. Yassine says, can you please give some guidance on which is better to look for projects while learning, or give more focus to understanding algorithm and getting a solid foundation before going for projects? The projects I'm asking about are unique projects, not school ones or Kaggle. Yeah, that's a great question, Yassine. You know, first of all, I'll say that everybody's learning path is different, right? Everybody learns at different rates, right? So it's really kind of hard to give like an exact answer. But I would say that it depends on how quickly you're finding the ability to apply what you're learning. So take what you're learning, like even individual chapters and books from a class, or like a homework assignment from a class, and ask yourself, is there a way that I can apply this myself? Can I think of a situation where this applies? Right? So I've given this example before, but I'll say it again because you know that there are some new people. Like I started my very first class in my data science journey was an applied statistics class. And like in applied statistics, they teach you how to be able to compare studies, right? So like, you know how like when you buy like medicine, like headache medicine or something like that, it'll tell you like, we are 80% better than the second place headache medicine, right? Like it works 80% faster than the competitors. You know how it says that on the packages? That's basically the kind of stuff you learn in applied statistics. Like, how do you actually carry out that statistical study to say that this results are better than these results? So for me, my learning path started that way. And when I would learn things like that, I would say like, oh, well, I can look that up. Like, you know how like the medicine comes with like all that long information? Well, I would sit there and I would read that information and I would say, oh, this is the study and this was their sample size and and you can sit there and actually do it. So that's what I would do. Like that was my initial, like, I learned something, I'm going to go apply it. I learned something, I'm going to go apply it. Or like in applied statistics, you learn about confidence intervals, right? So like when you're taking a poll or, you know, you're calling people on the phone, it's a survey. How many people do you have to call in order to get a confidence interval that tells you that it's representative of the entire population, right? Like you can't, like, you know, you can't just call 100 people and say 100 people reflect the entire population. You have to call a certain number, you know, to have a 95% confidence interval, so on and so forth. Right? So I would do that. I would go look at survey results, you know, and I would look at how many people they asked. And so that's what I would tell you, Yassine, start that way, right? Take even the smallest concepts and say, how can I apply this? And that becomes a practice. And then once you do that, you can start thinking about those projects. Because guess what? Maybe when you were looking at those confidence intervals, you come across a survey that people are relying on, but you can say, hey, wait a minute, there's only a 60% confidence interval because they didn't call enough people. So guess what? That's your article, right? You can call that study out and say, hey, I think there's a problem in this study because of their confidence interval. Here's my numbers, right? Here's the study I did. Here's where I'm quoting from their own study, right? So that becomes an article. That becomes something you can practice on, right? I don't know if that article is maybe strong enough to get you a job, but it's practice, right? Because also this goes for everybody. When I say 3 articles that are ready to go, it may take you some time to get to 3 really good refined articles. Don't think of it as just, oh, I'm just 3 articles away. Well, no, you're 3 good refined articles away. You might have to write 10 to get to those quality 3, right? So practice. So that's what I would recommend to you, Yassine. Just the smallest bits that you learn in assignments or whatever. Just think to yourself, how can I prove that? Like, that's interesting to me. What company would use that? How would a company like utilize that? Now let me go find a company that did utilize that, and let me do the same formula as I learned in class with their numbers. Right? I think that's a really, really excellent practice. So I hope that helps you, Yassine. Othman says consultant companies have started to use Gen AI to solve their business problems. I think they realize how important it is. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, lots of Gen AI being used by companies like that, sure. Again, compressing that time, right? Time is money in the consulting world. Rahul is helping Yassine. I believe learning should be priority, and then you can use individual things to the project and first build a foundation. It can be translated later. As I am also earning deep learning, I like to first learn all the concepts, why it's used, and what things can make a tough thing, which is manual, and use it to make a project about it. That's my thing, but Dennis can help you more. Yeah, Rahul, I'm on board with that. Because you mentioned the individual things. Yeah, just learn the individual concepts and test those out, right? And then build on that, right? That practice will come in handy in the future. Suhaib, let us know where you're from, okay? Badir says, we have ALX, African Leadership Accelerator Program. We'd be honored to have you if at some point you want to inspire the next generation of data science. Look us up when you have the time. Oh, thank you so much for that. I will look that up. Is that a government program or a school program, or who's doing that? Yeah, I'm starting to get offers for things like this. In fact, I have an interview on Monday, I think. Somebody's going to interview me for one of their webcasts or something. But yeah, I'd be happy to take a look at it. Let me know. Like, are you government, or is this like an agency? And is it across all of Africa or just Morocco? Let me know, Badir. Sounds interesting. Yassine says, thank you, Rahul. Yeah, guys, nothing I love more than the community helping each other. So love that back and forth. I love the back and forth in the chat. And if you want more of that, click on the link that's pinned in your individual chats to our Discord. Our Discord is a great resource. Lots of people are joining it. Here, let me bring it up, actually. Let me bring up our Discord. I need to So this is our Discord. We have approaching almost 250 members. And we just have, people helping each other, discussing data science, right? Sometimes I'll post when I have things ready, like the videos are starting or whatnot. But, people are posting courses, articles, things they come across. So if you guys want to join us on Discord, please do that. We have a great community. It's moderated, so, feel free to post your things. No one's going to come down on you. We keep things professional. So would love to have you guys if you're not already a member of our Discord. Yeah. Crazy Susie says, I still love that name. Best name in the chat. How to choose a topic for articles as a fresher. Sometimes I feel like the ideas just don't pop in my head and it makes me feel kind of lost. Okay. Start with what you enjoy. What are your hobbies? What are the companies you enjoy following? Right? Keep it simple. And then read articles about that company, about that industry. Invest the time to do that. It's not going to come overnight, but invest the time to do that. As you do that, you're going to come across questions. Like, oh, wait a minute, why did they do this instead of that? Well, they're saying that this is not possible, but why is it not possible? What's holding them back? The more you do that, the more you'll come with questions. And questions are usually make a good hypothesis. And if you have a hypothesis, then you're on your way, right? So just start with that. What are your interests? What are your hobbies? Start reading up and start developing a list of questions. Keep some notes, keep a notepad, in your phone or whatever, and start keeping track of questions. If you can do questions, you can come up with a hypothesis usually. It's not going to come overnight. You can't force it, but you'll be fine. Okay? Yassine, Kaggle could be the next step after learning the concepts or algorithm or any other techniques. So personally, I like to collect the data myself. Yeah, I'm on board with that. The stuff you source yourself is always going to be better, right? Because the real world does not give you nice, clean data sets like Kaggle and your professors do. So yeah, so I'm on board with that. Pavan, welcome. I think it's your first time. Welcome, and I appreciate you introducing yourself. Hello, sir. I'm Pavan Mare from Pune, Maharashtra, India. Nice, very cool. Welcome, Pavan. Nice to see you. I think it's your first time, so welcome. Othman says, give us your YouTube channel name. Data Science with Dennis, all right? You can search Data Science with Dennis across the board on any network and also on Amazon. If you search for Data Science with Dennis, I'll also come up on Amazon where you can buy my book, Your First Year in Data Science. I don't sell any courses or any of that nonsense. I don't make any false promises. The only way I ask for your support is if you can, please buy my book, and I appreciate it. Rahul says, Crazy Susie, it's simple. First learn, what does data science accomplish? Yeah, that also helps. Badir says, I just encountered this last week in my job. We are logging API requests made by our customers, and they were logged in JSON. We're on GCP. So it's pretty simple to manipulate and store as a table. And you should be storing it as a table or something else, right? Again, you should only view the JSON side as a convenient transport protocol, right? You probably don't want to do that and keep it in there long term. And you certainly don't want to go from JSON to your application. That's likely to be a mistake. Sarah says, hi Dennis, as you already suggested, how to get better at probabilities. I'm not great. Well, I'm not great at it either. I didn't say I was good at it. I just said I liked it. So for me, the way I move myself forward with probabilities is writing a lot of code around it, right? Because the funny thing about probabilities is that 99 times out of 100, you can brute force an answer, right? I mean, you can write like Monte Carlo-esque programs to get you to a probability answer. So I found that really convenient to do. So I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. There's a channel out there called Mind Your Decisions by Presh Talwar. Really great channel. I'm sure plenty of you know it. And he basically writes a lot about probabilities and puzzles and things like that. And I would sit there and I would race him to try to find an answer before he would give the answer mathematically. And I would sit there and race him with Python. So I would literally like have everything ready to go with Python on my end, like an IDE open and stuff. And then he would talk, right? I would start the video and then he would talk, stating the problem. And I would type as he was talking and I would come up with the code to how to solve it. And I could usually come up with the code. The thing is that to get to a more precise answer, you need to run like thousands and thousands of cycles, right? So maybe sometimes I couldn't get the cycles to finish, but I would have the code ready to go. So personally, that helped me understand it because in creating that code and creating the elements that go into solving the probability problem, helped me understand the mathematical solution to the problem also. Like you can kind of like walk yourself backwards into it. If you can say, oh yeah, I needed these 5 loops and these 3 collections and that, oh yeah, that's why he did the math that way. So I'm not sure if that's an answer for everyone. This was me when I was like hardcore studying, building my data science skills, right? But that's what I would do. I found that beneficial and fun, right? Just sit there and do probability problems in Python as fast as you can, right? Like you're taking in, because his videos are only like 6-7 minutes long, right? So you're taking in like his problem statements super fast, and you're like immediately transferring it to code. Oh yeah, I need this and I need this, and then the loop needs to go this, and it's a triple embedded loop that needs to do this. Like you gotta be quick, right? But in that process, you're kind of teaching yourself the probability math behind it, as weird as it sounds. But that's what I would recommend. That's how I did it. Let me know if that works for you, but that's what I used to do. But yeah, probabilities are hard, but super critical in data science. Like probabilities is what I prefer the people who work for me to have. Like you can keep your calculus and all that matrix algebra stuff. I got libraries to do that, but I want you to understand the probabilities of what your answers mean. 10 times more valuable in data science. All right, Alvaro says, Dennis, I'm currently working on a finance project applying a generic algorithm for feature selection. Okay. Which sites do you recommend to get stocks historical data? Well, who are you working on this project for? Like, is it just a personal study? Because if you're working for a finance company, then, they should already have multiple feeds, right? Like a Bloomberg feed or something, right? And then if you don't have that, depending on which data you're looking for, usually Yahoo Finance, right? As crazy as it sounds, and I know that source has been around like forever, like since like the early 2000s, late 90s. But Yahoo Finance usually, for most like personal explorations, will get you what you need, right? So Yahoo Finance is what I would think, if your company doesn't already have a professional. Hey Dennis, I also registered for the Amazon ML Challenge. Do you know anything about it? No, I do not, but you are describing something that would be perfect for our Discord. On our Discord, we have a data science competitions channel. So we have a channel dedicated directly for people who want to collaborate with others or just want to, kind of develop in public, right? Build in public. There is something, feel free to post there, post your ideas. Maybe people give you feedback. Maybe you'll find a teammate, whatever you'd like. But yeah, if you want to tell me more about it, don't just tell me, tell everybody. Join our Discord. It's called DSD Science. It's called #Data Science Competitions. Go ahead and post in there, and I'm sure people would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about it. All right. So yeah, that sounds like a good place to do it. Silly Caddy says how to join Discord. Yeah, Rex, thank you so much for helping out. Yeah, Rex just gave you the link there, Silly Caddy. Yassine says thank you, sir. Yeah, no problem, Yassine. I'm glad that both myself and Rahul could help you. Guan Yu, let us know where you're from, okay? I think you're new. Hi, coming here from Instagram and love your content. Wonderful, thank you. I'm having an interview with a hiring manager about a data analyst role at a leading paint and code company. As a new grad, can you give some tips? Well, the first tip I want to give you is that interviews are a serious thing, so you should probably take more time to prepare than just asking a random guy on the internet. Because, it's a personal thing to prepare for these, right? But I would say, as I tell most people, make sure you're walking in there with projects that you did that you can speak to during the interview, okay? Not Kaggle, not school projects. Stuff that you did from end to end. Have an article written, and as soon as you sit down for that interview, you pass that article over the printout, and you say, I'd like to submit this article that I wrote as my writing sample. And if you don't mind, I'd like to walk you through this study that I did. And then you start walking them through it, and that way you're taking charge of the interview. More importantly, you're letting them know what work you're capable of. Because this hiring manager wants to know if you're ready to go on the first day. That's what all hiring managers are looking for, right? Are you ready to go on the first day? So that's what I would advise you, Kuan Yu, right? Walk into an interview, ready to go with an article that you wrote, be ready to talk about it. And by the way, if everybody in the chat, if you want to know how to put together an article, I'm publishing the video tomorrow, but you can check out the live stream, the live stream I did yesterday. I did an entire live stream on how to put together an article about your data science work. But that's what I would recommend to you, Kuan Yu, okay? But thanks for joining. Love to see you here. Good luck with the interview. Let us know how it goes, okay? Crazy Susie says, thanks, Rahul. I will do that. Rahul's being super helpful today. Jeez, Rahul, you're just knocking it out today, my man. 33 Ryan says, how should I plan my retirement as a data scientist? Don't. I don't ever want to retire from this stuff. I'm probably the closest to retirement than any of you in here. Yeah, but how do you plan? You don't. You never retire from data science. Data science lives in your blood. So Badir says ALX is a training program supported by MasterCard Foundation to offer young Africans all over Africa to have access to IT trainings for a symbolic fee. We were able to have AWS and Salesforce sponsor us. Nice. Congratulations. That sounds like a great program. Yeah. Yeah, let me know how I can help. Please send me an email or a direct message or however you'd like to reach me. But yeah, I'd love to be aligned with something like that. Let me know, okay? Sounds like a good program. Tokir, let us know where you're from, okay? We always ask people to introduce themselves. Gozi, thanks for introducing yourself. I'm Gozi from Johannesburg, South Africa. Very cool, very cool. I haven't quite made it to South Africa yet. I want to go out there sometime. Seems like a cool country. But thanks, Gozi. I think it's your first time, so thank you for joining us. And sorry, I am Ambreen from Pakistan. Very cool. Cat Iology? Cat Iology, but your name is Ambreen. All right, I'm digging it. Thanks for joining us, Ambreen. Lots of viewers from the Middle East on my channel also. Very cool. Guys, please don't spam my chat, okay? If you appear one time, I guarantee you I see it. I see it on my screen, okay? Can you repeat the channel name for probabilities? Yeah, so it's called Mind Your Decisions, or you can also search for Presh Talwar. You know, he's written a couple books, so he's fairly well known. Presh Talwar. And it's Mind Your Decisions, okay? Alvaro Arturo Diaz says, doing the financial project on my own. Okay. Yeah. Yahoo Finance should meet most of your needs for that, okay? Ravindran asks, where do you get data sets or personal projects except Kaggle? There's a few APIs that make data sets available, right? That make legal data sets available. So you know what, Ravindran? Ask ChatGPT. I am sure that if you go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm working in Python, can you recommend some libraries that have built-in data sets? I guarantee you ChatGPT will give you an answer. But you can probably do that, okay? Pujan, let us know where you're from, okay? Rahul says, happy to help, Silly Caddy. Rahul, you're Mr. Helpful today, man. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate your help, my friend. And like I said, guys, I just love when the community is helping each other. Just, makes me feel like we're doing some good, when the community helps each other. So thanks so much, guys. Kuan Yu says, thank you so much for the advice. Yeah, let us know how the interview goes, Kuan Yu, okay? Silly Caddy says, but dear, wow, such a cool program. Yeah, that does sound like a cool program. So good job to MasterCard, AWS, and well, who was it, Salesforce? Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a great program. Part of the reason why I do this, guys, right, is because I tell you guys how much I know that I feel that data science is a profession, right? Right? I'm not offering anybody quick careers. This is a serious profession. Part of that profession is that the experienced people help the new people, right? Any good profession does that, right? Advanced lawyers help new lawyers. Advanced surgeons help the new surgeons, right? So this is me helping the next generation because I want data science to live beyond me, right? I will be dead and gone someday, but I want data science to be growing, right? So yeah, I do this because I want to help. So any program out there that supports the growth of data science, I think it's great, right? So yeah, I'm really glad programs like that exist. We should be helping the future generation of data science. So pretty cool that exists. So let me know more about that ALX program. Thank you, Dennis. We'll start with probabilities. Yeah, good luck. I didn't say it was easy. I'm just telling you what I did. Anise says, thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Silly Caddy looks like she like they posted the Instagram for Mind Your Decisions. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think the YouTube channel is better because you can see it on widescreen and he has interesting graphics. But that's what I would do. I would sit there on YouTube, get everything ready, start this, start the new episode, right? Because obviously it can't be an episode you've seen before. And yeah, I would sit there and I would race him. It was nonsense. I'm an idiot sometimes. I don't know why I even did that, but it helped. It made me into a better programmer too. Jax, let us know where you're from, okay? Rahul says, at least I am helpful. At least I am helpful somewhere. My parents say you are weird as a human. Oh man, Rahul. Well, you know what, Rahul? I think you found a group of weirdos that you can be weird with, right? So I'm not going to comment on your parents, or maybe this goes for other people in the chat. But look, I'm going to share some wisdom that I've learned. Because remember, I'm an old man compared to some of you guys, right? Here's one of the things that I've learned in life. Okay? Maybe this will help some of you, Rahul. Maybe this will help you. You can't live an average life and expect above average results in your life. Okay? I'm going to say that again. You can't live an average life and be an average person and expect above average results in your life. So I get it. I'm pretty quirky too. Like, I can be a weird dude sometimes, right? But I also like nice vacations and I like driving fast cars. I can't expect that if I'm going to be just living an average life and like being an average person, right? Like you have to accept some weirdness or some like out of the norm in your life if you want the above average results, right? Like I'm not trying to like I guess there's really no way to say this without sounding like you're showing off, but that's not my intent in this, right? But like last year I flew like 80,000 miles on vacation, like all of it like business class or higher. I like fast cars, so I've owned really nice Mustangs and nice Porsches, and like I enjoy those things. But I couldn't have expected those things if I wasn't like a weird guy at some level, right? Like you can't be like just average and like have like an average life, average career, average everything. And by the way, I also want to own a Porsche. Like that doesn't make sense, right? So Rahul, I would embrace that weirdness, my friend. Right? Because that's what makes you unique. That's what's going to like make you stand out from the rest. Otherwise, you're just going to be like an average guy the rest of your life, right? So that's what I would tell you, Rahul. Even if your parents say you're weird, that might be okay. You can't swim with the fish and then all of a sudden expect to be chosen to have like a beautiful vacation in Bali where you're like on the beach all day. Like that's not you working, that's you winning the lottery, right? Like you're like it's just luck. So embrace it. Right? Like you should be different in some way. If you're not different in some way, then you're going to expect average things in your future. Right? So anyways, enough of that. But that's just my view on it. Silly Caddy says data science in our blood. Yeah, I think it has to be in some way. I think it has to be. All right, our new friend Tokir says, hello, I'm Tokir from Kashmir. Oh, very cool. I think you might be our first person from Kashmir. And I am a little depressed now because last year I got year back for some reason, and now I'm on my 5th semester. I don't know how I can start now because year gap things demotivate me, or demotivate. I'm sorry, but what is a year back? I don't know that term. That might be an academic term in another country. And when you say 5th semester, are you talking college or high school? What are we talking about? Master's program? Let me know what we're talking about, okay? Give me more information in the chat and I'll try to help you, okay? Badir says, I added you on LinkedIn and sent you a DM. Okay, thank you, Badir. I'll take a look at it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll take a look after I'm done with my after stream activities and all that. Jack says, hello, Dennis. I am from India. Hello, Jax. Nice to see you. I think it might be your first time. Welcome, my friend. Rahul says, I got you, man. I am working to be above average. Wish me luck. Cool. Cool. Again, you can't be above average if you do average person things, right? So look for those opportunities to be different, right? Otherwise, it never makes any sense to me why people will live an average life and then, oh, but I also want to fly business class all over the world. Well, you can't because you're living an average life, right? So good job, Rahul. Keep at it. Arpan says, hi, sir. Hello, Arpan. Let us know where you're from. I think it's your first time, okay? Jax specifically says they are from Vadodara, Gujarat. Nice. I can't say I know what part of India that's from, but you're welcome. But you're welcome to join us, Jax. Thanks so much. Nabil, let us know where you're from, okay? New York, or Naya Paljak? I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that. From Des Moines, Iowa. Very cool. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope that it's cooling down out there in Iowa. I think it's probably cooler weather by now, but let us know. Hope you're doing well. Silly Caddy, I added you on LinkedIn too. We data science need to stick together. Yeah, it helps. It absolutely helps. I definitely have a page on LinkedIn. Again, you can always search on any network, Data Science with Dennis. You're going to find me. You're going to find my company page on there. Would love to have you added on there. And, you know, definitely keep in touch via that messaging. But really appreciate, you know, all of you guys adding me and the support you've shown me on my networks. It's ridiculous how crazy it's been growing. But thank you so much. Umair, let us know where you're from, okay? Abdullah, our good friend Abdullah says, hey Dennis, this is Abdullah again. Hope you're doing well, man. I wanted to ask you somewhat a personal question, if I may. What is the thing you really wish you knew when you started your career? Abdullah, really glad to see you again. It's been a little while, man, so I hope you're doing well, but glad to see you back. I love seeing the return people. Abdullah, let me know what you mean. Are you talking about my data science career or my overall career? But then again, I don't know if I'd give you a different answer for each one of those. So I don't know if I would say there's something. There's two things that come to mind, Abdullah. And obviously I'm not just addressing you. I'm addressing everybody in the chat because I know a lot of you are getting started in your careers. But there's two things that come to mind. I'm going to give you advice I wish I had and advice that I did have that I didn't always follow. So, advice that was given to me that I didn't always follow was don't do things for money. Never do things in your career for money. And I allowed myself to do that one time, and I ended up regretting it. So definitely never do things for money is what I would tell you. It was advice that was given to me that I didn't follow. Do things because you enjoy them, because you're in a good environment, because you have good leadership, things along those lines. But don't do things for money. I did it once. I was working for a great company. Really interesting work, interesting people, great working environment. And another company came along, offered me a consulting role for a decent raise in money. Not amazing money, but a decent raise. And I took it when I should have stayed at the more supportive company. So that is a mistake that I made. As far as the advice that I wish somebody had told me about earlier, like early in my career, would have been about emotional intelligence and and using emotional intelligence for your communication. That is super important. And I've only learned that later in my career. But understanding, and also, well, in my defense on that too, there's been a lot more books and a lot more of emotional intelligence at the forefront, right? So maybe when I started my career, there really weren't a lot of books about this, right? So maybe it wasn't as fully understood as it could have been. So, because remember, I've been around a long time. I mean, I've been in the workforce longer than some of you have been alive, right? So that's what I would tell you, right? Learn more about emotional intelligence and how that helps your communication. Very helpful in your career. I've added that within the last 10 years of my career, and it's definitely helped. I've been fortunate to work for companies that have given me good training on that, and I'm extremely grateful for that. But I would say that understanding emotional intelligence and how it leads to better communication is very, very important. Because it's something that also takes practice. You can read about it all you want, but it takes practice to be able to do that, right? So that's what I would tell you, Abdullah. And I'm really enjoying the question. It's a great question. But yeah, don't do things for money, right? I can attest that that's usually a mistake. I did make that mistake in my career. And two, learn more about emotional intelligence and how that leads to better communication. Those things are absolutely important. So yeah, great question, Abdullah. Thank you so much. And really, guys, it's been so many good questions today. I've really have enjoyed the stream. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the new followers, and all the people that are joining. I just know that that's going to lead to greater collaboration, more conversations on Discord. I can already see that there's been additions to the data science competition channel. So really looking forward. So as I said, tomorrow I am doing an instructional. I have been teaching this book. If you don't know this book, you should. This is where professional data science begins. Tomorrow is our last live course. I cannot believe I'm saying that. So please join us. If you want to get caught up, go to my channel, Data Science with Dennis. All the previous classes are there. But it's very hard to become a professional data scientist and not know this book. So that's why I decided to teach it. Tomorrow is our last class, but really looking forward to seeing you. And if you can't make the class tomorrow, I'm here every day. 1500 GMT, same time you logged in today. And we'll have more discussions, right? This is the world's first and only daily data science stream. So really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for supporting my content. I know that I get viewers from all around the world, and there's all kinds of craziness going in many parts of the world. So please take care of yourselves and take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.